It looks like we're live. And let me get something set up here. I want to welcome everybody to the Rip Comic Books podcast. I don't even know the name of Rip Comics podcast name. I'm totally out of it right now. We've actually Will has the alternate variant theme song that he's gonna give to us in a minute, and then we'll play the official new theme song to the show. So in the world of comics, you always have variant issues, and you have the regular issues of the things. So let's hear a little bit of the variant. Will,
the variant what?
The variant theme song.
Oh. It's out of tune. It's the out of tune variant.
There's no lyrics on this. It's just the regular. Is this the mariachi
Rip Comics, Rip Comics, Rip Comics. You tore your comics, now you can't have them. You lost a big one, you threw it all away, and now you got robbed. Doing a show about your Rip Comics.
All right, that right there. I must say it is definitely something that could be in the running for alternative theme songs. But
I'm upset, Rob.
Oh, why is that?
Because the Green Ranger is in town and I'm here on this show.
Well, you have to wear your own mask, so it's well, you know what? We're going to get into that because
I would have shown up as Shredder.
wrong property of adventurers.
I'd have been Shredder, and I would showed up in front of and we'd have done. Yeah, it would have been the Green Ranger and Shredder together. Like old times. Right. Well, that's why we are
currently missing the Green Ranger. But did you see there was a big list of rules? It's almost like he just should have come out.
Wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait, do you have the guy who's hosting the event? Can we put him on screen? And does he give the rules? Because if he does, I'll entertain the crowd while you find the rules section where he talks about him. Because I know he did. Right?
He did. I don't know if he did a video. I just know that there was like a post, and it's but don't get me wrong. Okay, it's all in good. It's all in good nature because I know that we're making fun of the fact that there's all these rules been in place. But the thing is that the Rangers, I guess, are being sent out. The Power Rangers are being sent out into the community, into our local comic shops, and they're there to protect from the Zords of the bad Zords or whatever, but they're there to help the comic book shops raise money. I think that's what it is because of COVID. I guess they're there, and then so to be Power Ranger strong, you have to be Power Ranger protected. So there's all these set rules.
Are you making this stuff up? Or are you serious?
No, dude. I'm serious. It's part of a organization that sends the Power Rangers to do. Hey, we're here to raise money and save the day. I'm the Green Ranger. You cannot touch me.
So I went to that.
There's no fist bumping. It's almost like they could have had a stand up and the dude in a suit and just go. And you can take a picture and then out.
But you have to be 6 feet away from him.
Yeah, so
you have to use the panoramic view.
Yeah,
Stay still, everybody.
This is my buddy here, and you're 6 feet away. It's like what we're doing right now, Will.
Yeah.
I can be Tom. I can be the Green Ranger. And, hey, take a picture. It lasts longer. I don't know. Anyway, we're never going to be allowed to go back into that shop. You know that?
Why not? They need our money.
Yeah. Well, obviously, and the Green Ranger's there to help them get that money.
I picked up Thor number 5 variant, number second printing.
Second printing, beautiful cover.
Second printing of Thor 5 there on Monday or Tuesday.
The funny thing is about that book, it's almost like if it has Donny Cates and if it has, that's it. That's all you need. Marvel, Donny Cates, and if it's a first issue and then it goes into print too, it's almost the minute it goes out the door, it's already a $20 book.
You see, I don't have a. Okay, here's the deal. I bought that. I think we need to throw props to the guy, the store that we bought it from. And I'm not trying to make fun of him or anything. I'm serious. I mean, I went there on Monday or Tuesday, and I picked up Thor number 5.
Tell us a little bit about that. You know, for our friends out there that can't.
Look, it's not even bagged and boarded.
Yeah, it's all upside down, dude. What's up with that? Or is this for our Australian? All our Australian friends. We're going to show you the book upside down.
Don't get me started with mirrors and left and right. And,
this is number 5, variant 2. Now, as of right now, print 1, issue 5. How much does that usually go for?
The last I heard was $35 to $45 in really good condition.
Really? I've seen it go from 50 to 60.
You see that, but I'm looking at prices 2 weeks ago. That's what I remember 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, it's now the fact that book is out, the price has gone up. So who? That's Nick. Is it Nick Klein? Is that is that the right name on that? The artist?
Yes, it's NIC Nick.
Nick Klein. Okay, and what you guys just saw, for the people that do not have the video version of the podcast, was that this was a segment in the book where Black Winter actually is face to face with Thor and showing him all of his adversaries that I guess they're in like an alternate scenario, and they're showing everything that was Thor's enemy or person that he has fought in his lifetime, or his deaths, or something of that nature. And so you get a glimpse of all, like, everybody. Is that like Apocalypse? Everybody in the Thor, like Doctor Doom, and then Thor is like hunched over facing them. It was a great caption in the book, so it made a great cover for sure.
Caption. Oh, this picture.
Yeah, it's in the book. Yeah,
So Thor recently became the All-Father of Asgard, but he barely had time to settle into his new role before Galactus imbued him with the power cosmic, so that he could help deal with a powerful threat. And the Black Winter, a scar plague that destroyed Galactus' original universe, is now coming to destroy this universe. So to prevent it from doing so, Galactus needs to consume 5 planets, which with rare and unique energies that will augment his power. Thor has been evacuating the inhabitants before Galactus destroys their homes, but when they reach the 5th planet, time ran out, and the Black Winter has arrived, or had arrived. Desperate for the final burst of energy he needed, Galactus immediately consumed the planet Cryo, murdering its citizens, and Thor is furious, but vengeance will have to wait, you know. The pair now stand before the end of the multi-universe, which brings us to this issue, The Devoured King, Part 5 in Rain, written by Donny Cates.
Donny Cates, one of the hottest writers out there right now. That it seems almost like everything he seems to touch. Yeah, it turns to Texas Gold. Speaking of Texas Gold, you actually were holding up a very hot commodity, not just in Texas, but just in comics in general. You want to show that real quick? It was Texas Blood. This is Texas Blood 2. Texas Blood number 1, there were 2 issues that came out last month, and they flew off the shelves. I mean, literally, the minute they were there, they just completely flew off. And I'm gonna do my McFarlane kind of, and
does he do that for real?
Yeah, when he's drawing, he's like, we need to draw a little thing here, and webs and show that cover. Who's the writer and artist again?
It's Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. This is number 2.
The logo, I love that logo. I love that logo with the give us a shot of that. I don't know what you're showing us, the ass part.
No, this is the ass part.
Okay.
Well,
yeah. That Texas
apparently
Blood. That Texas Blood is just for the audience that is listening. It's that Texas Blood is like emblazoned in the image of Texas, and what it is, there's a guy. He's it says, what does it say? Welcome to wherever, and then he's kind of like mysteriously looking back over his shoulder, and there's these hands coming and reaching for him. But it's done in a very classic style, very very much like those horror books that you would see back in the day. Creep Show book and Eerie and all that. That's what that cover seems to be. See,
Yeah,
I sense a theme coming on here with that type of vibe there. That's really good.
this is not the variant cover. There's another cover
Yeah,
besides this
but
one.
that's a classic cover. Looks good.
Yeah, and I don't have these in plastic bags yet. My other pickup, well, I picked. Let me put this back in my portfolio. I love this. I finally found one locally, and I got this at Collector's Comic Shop here in Corpus Christi. I'm surprised to have found out this there. They're the only ones that carry it in the city, and that's where the Green Ranger is right now.
You know why? Because he's going to be there, and that's what he uses.
Yep, they got a big store. They got
He puts his Dragon Zord coin in there, and his flute.
Yeah, I saw him the other day. He was at his house with all his memorabilia, and he had the sword that's a flute or whatever.
Yeah,
and he was blowing his flute.
Hey, well, whatever.
What?
No, nothing. It's all good.
Wearing your cargo pants.
There you go. Oh wow, very
found this
cool.
one. I found this one locally here in Corpus Christi at Comics Plus, here in Corpus, and this was in the bin. Quite frankly, I bought it because of the damn frog. Because I have a feeling this frog's going to show up sometime soon.
I hope not.
No. Think about it, okay? Let's think about it.
Okay.
I'll just ask you to think about it.
I'm thinking.
It wasn't a rhetorical question. Okay.
Okay, I thought.
Okay, good. Well, I have a feeling this toad, frog, whatever it is, might make an appearance on a Netflix on a Disney Plus episode sometime soon, as maybe a little cameo Easter egg, something. I'm just saying. I don't know. I look at these things and I'm like, that's interesting. I like the cover. It is X-Men. It is Thor relevant. Thor's hot right now. Why not introduce a character like this? I mean, I think it's introduce the character, re-enter it into the world.
I have a friend, mutual friend of ours. He has a love for frogs. I think he's probably thinking that's Kermit.
I had a friend who bit the head of a frog. On a dare, on a dare. He wasn't drunk. He did it. He bit the head off the frog.
Lord.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him in like 10, 15 years, so I don't know.
I wonder if he's still eating frogs.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's just biting their heads off.
I
like
think
Ozzy.
Yeah.
He's the Ozzy of frogs.
Yeah, he did.
I want to give a shout out to there's a couple of cats that actually that are joining us. Even if you're in for a little bit, Letty and my wife Mariela, she's watching. She has it on low because she's actually in class right now, and she is going to be. I think they're going to be doing waxing of wax on. She's going to do some waxing stuff, and then there's Bob.
Who's Bob?
Bob, dude, he's like Charles Barkley, except he dislocates his shoulder every time he plays basketball. So he's a power presence, and then he becomes Riggs, and he's got a whatever that All right.
So you get to see everybody who walks in this room, right?
Well, I have the Facebook on. So if you go to Facebook, you can. But if you do go to Facebook, lower the volume and then put that in the background, and then if you shorten the screen, you can see the little dudes that are there. I'm saying hi to them right now.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Right. So it's they're there in spirit. They're cheering us on. We do have a special guest today. We'll be bringing him on shortly. We just wanted to kind of there he is. He threw a little tag team. Chris. He sent us a little emoji or GIF action right there. The thing. He's hanging in the green room right now, and he'll be joining us like the Green Ranger. Well, the Green Ranger won't be joining us, but you know what? We have the next best.
Why not? Hey, let's call the comic book store and see if we can get him on.
No, you know what?
No.
He's probably eating pizza right now. That's what he is. He's on a strict schedule. He's probably
Rob. I bet you
he's going to.
I bet you no one showed up.
Oh, dude, don't say that. Did anybody show up for the White Ranger when the White Ranger came to
I told you no one showed up.
Wait, man, wasn't that during the hurricane?
Yeah, it was.
Dude,
I think
that must have sucked. Was it? I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, let's so that's your pick. You know what? I'm just going to make a quick mention. There were all kind of really good books because we showcased them, and if you missed that, you missed a really good show. Episode 1 is currently still available on Facebook. We're going to have that released on audio podcast. We'll release that later, and then you really missed some good picks because there were so many great issues that came out this past week that a lot of them quickly sold out. One of them, but the thing is, I don't think a lot of stores picked it up. It was Pulp. It's that Western by Brubaker and Phillips.
I saw that.
Yeah, and that has been selling out everywhere. It's a one-shot graphic novel, hardcover, and it's been getting so much praise. If I'm not mistaken, please forgive me if I don't say the premise all clear. But what it is, it's a pulp writer or something like that goes back into the West, and he's kind of put into that scenario, and he's stuck in a Western world. I don't know if that's like a throw to Westworld and Future World or something like that. But you know what? I've always loved Western Americana, the look, everything about the Western cowboy look. Speaking of Western cowboy look, just around the corner, you guys have to make note of this. Spawn 310. Spawn 310, McFarlane has Matina, has this really massive picture of the Gunslinger Spawn. Gunslinger Spawn is like one of these characters that out of 300 issues, he's only appeared like in 2. And now we're past 300 and he's already appeared like in 1. But he's got a 3-part miniseries coming up. So it took 300 issues just to finally put this guy in a series, and it's the McFarlane promises that it's going to be an epic little 3 comic book run. But it's one of the hottest characters that he's created. He's been introducing this new wave of Spawn characters where he's leading us down the line to this change in the character and an ultimate showdown with lots of new characters and lots of excitement in the Spawn world. If you have never picked up a Spawn book, you know what? Spawn just came out. Issue 308 is on the shelves right now, and you should go pick up an issue of Spawn.
I left it on the shelf. I didn't pick it up.
You know why? Because you picked up all the other 300 things, and you don't have any more money for Spawn. But anyway, too much Spawn overload. But I'm telling you, Will, you're gonna want to pick up some of those Gunslinger Spawn issues. They're gonna be can't miss. I mark my words, guys. McFarlane sneaked in a 4th cover. I think it was issue 304 or 306. 304. He snuck in a 4th cover, which was the entire cover was a profile picture of Gunslinger Spawn. Thing flew off the shelves. Comic book stores didn't pick it up. It went under the radar so much that within 1 week's time, the book was already going for like $25. If you try to get that book right now, you're going to pay over that amount. You don't ever want to be on that side of things. Usually we all kind of are because it's a guessing game. You're speculating. You're trying to figure out what it is. What's going to be the hot thing. There's nothing sure money either. I mean, you think that something's going to be hot, then it's not. And then you know what? It's always the one with it doesn't have all the variants. It's like one cover, and it's like something real downplayed. And then the next thing you know, you have to read the book because then inside that book, you get the explosion, you get the little cameo appearance, or you get a full blown appearance of a character that was hinted at in another issue, and then that becomes the issue that's you know, the most expensive issue that you probably have in your own thing. It's like gold mining, but you know, that's part of the thing.
Well,
Will runs across books all the time. When you comic book dump bins and stuff like that, like at half price books or wherever it is, or garage sales, you never know what you're going to find. And sometimes you find something that somebody had long forgot that they had, and then you end up with, you know, could be a $50 book, $20 book, or sometimes even something that's over $100. I mean, it's just it's one of those.
it just
kind of
depends
things.
on your goal, what your goal is, as far as being in the community of comic book collectors. Is your goal to invest? Is that what you're looking for? And I mean, yes, I invest money into books because I know that they have value in the future, or they have value currently. But I think the biggest reason why I go diving for books or hunting is exactly that term, hunt. I like the hunt. I like the satisfaction of finding something that is either in rare, scarce, or something unique. And that's why lately I've been well, not lately, just like in the last week or so. So I'm beginning to venture outside my comfort zone and looking at books that I normally wouldn't look at, or publishers. One of the picks I have coming up for the release date of October the 21st is Scumbag, and there's two covers on that so far, and it is an Image publication. Reading it, I think it's really interesting. Besides, there's another book called Bliss, which has an interesting story. But this one right here is one book that I will go out of my way to pick up. It's a #1 that's coming out on October 21st. And if you read it there,
This is that artist that you were telling me about, isn't it?
Right. It's Ernie Ray Clementine. That's the one of the characters, the character, profane, illiterate, drug addicted biker with a 5th grade education. He's the only thing standing between us and total Armageddon, because this dummy accidentally received a power imbuing. And there's that word again, imbuing. That word is, I've read it twice today. Okay. So that word is significant in the story writing community, I think. Power imbuing serum, making him the world's most powerful super spy.
And this is the artist that you had mentioned before, right? That we should be keeping an eye on, Moreno here. Is that the guy? Yeah,
that's one of the guys. There's several out there.
Will you be picking up both the A variant and the B variant? Is that?
If I have the opportunity to, I will. If I pre-order it, I will. If I forget to pre-order and I come across both of them, I'll pick them both up.
Describe to the audience that's listening that may not have the video on. What are we looking at here? I guess it's a guy in a red bandana. You know what? It almost reminds me
Easy
of
Rider.
Willie Nelson.
It reminds me of Chong.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's got the bandana, the red bandana, and he's got the shades. Those shades, you know what? You do. It's like Peter Fonda's shades in Easy Rider a little bit.
Yeah. And I've said that word today twice already, Easy Rider. So something's going on with Easy Rider and imbuing.
Well,
you ever pay attention to what you say and think and see, like things that come across you and you're like, that's an oddity. Why am I seeing that twice today? Anyways.
You've heard the big buzz that's going around with Ghost Rider. Speaking of writers. You hear who they're rumoring that's going to be the new Ghost Rider in the MCU possibly.
Is it which Ghost Rider is it? Johnny Blaze?
Well, let's just say this: they're throwing Keanu's name out there now. I don't know.
For which Ghost Rider?
Yeah, I don't know. They're just saying, Ghost Rider and Keanu. They're just saying that they haven't matched the two yet. But I'm hoping it's gonna not be Reyes because.
Why?
I don't want to get into that.
You don't want to get into politics?
No, I don't want to get into
you don't want to
the
get
casting
into
of a character that we could easily be somebody else.
Why not?
But we have Chris in mute mode here. I want to try to bring him on board. We want to talk briefly about this is Chris Ambriz. He's a producer, director, writer, special effects artist, and comic book lover. Comics. He got into comics at a very young age. I want to say he started.
He's a junkie.
He started in the DC world, and then as he was growing, he got into more of the traditional path, I guess, that a lot of us ended up going down. He found the Dark Horse comics, some of the horror comics and stuff, and then he got into the Image universe, like much of us did too. And so I want to bring Chris on board here. Chris, you got. Let's see. There you go.
Hello.
Hey. Was I pretty much described a little bit? What was it about? You started off with DC, and then you said, I think when we spoke earlier, you had mentioned, was it GI Joe comics, or was that a little bit? Was it the DC first and then GI Joe, or all about the same time?
Right around the same time, I imagine. It was the early to mid '80s at that point, and we were talking about Super Friends. I kind of just led into the DC. I was a huge Superman fan, and of course the cartoon was on right around that time too. And then, sure enough, like 84, 83, GI Joe comics started coming out, and I was hooked.
Yeah, you had said that you would on occasion they would buy you Superman or maybe Batman. Do you recall anything about those issues in particular? Because I know that I want to say during the mid '80s, leading into 1989, they had all kinds of things happening. Obviously, the big Tim Burton movie hadn't hit yet, so Batman was still kind of on the fringe. It was more of whatever we saw on the Super Friends or the original Batman Adam West show. But is there anything that you remember from those issues that you were looking at when you were younger?
Yeah, I remember that they were kind of they were still in kind of a transitional phase. Like, it was still kind of keeping true to how they started. But then I noticed, was it '86 when Frank Miller did The Dark Knight?
That's right. Yeah.
That's when I saw the shift into more detailed characters and detailed storylines.
Yeah,
and it was really shifting, and it was shifting really good. And at that time, I was thinking, because the Marvel stories were good, but there was definitely, that's where DC was ahead of them at that point.
Yeah, I think what was happening also at that time, Batman was experimenting with they were trying to get an edge in wise, and I think that's when we started maybe seeing a little bit of the Dark Knight year one, maybe year two. McFarlane even dabbled into that. I think he started cutting his teeth with some of those, and those were those little offshoot miniseries that you had your traditional Batman storylines and stuff like that, but definitely they were making a mark with year one and year two. Dark Knight Returns. The universe is definitely getting darker in that Batman world. I
also remember that time, or it was a little bit later. I think it was maybe the early '90s when the Superman series with where he dies, Superman dies, comes in there, and that was huge. That was I remember going to Walden Books and standing in line for that comic.
Yeah, Doomsday. That was.
I was going to say Darkseid, but that's not right.
Yeah, no. But Doomsday. Yeah, Doomsday came, and it became a huge event all over. Everybody had to get a copy of that. People that didn't even read comics were looking for those books, bagged, non-bagged. There was a series leading up to it. There was a series when he was dead. There was a series for the funeral. There was a series that branched off into like 4 or 5 different Supermen, the various Supermen. It was like a big resurgence for Superman.
I just remember a real big fever pitch hidden at that point where, I remember at Walden Books when it was announced it was going to be there, we were all standing in line for that comic. Yeah, I remember that. And I don't remember that anymore.
Which one did you get? Did you, because there was different ones. There were some without a bag. There was some in a bag with the blood.
Yeah, just a normal one.
Yeah,
I didn't need special editions.
and you know the funny thing is that probably that regular edition is probably the one that might be worth more, because usually the newsstand version that didn't have all the special bag, because the bag version was like so overproduced. There were so many of them that the collectors all had them, and then they had the different ones. But if you had it with just the UPC code on there, those are the ones that ended up becoming more collectible and stuff like that. Did you end up picking up any of that, Will?
Really, I'm never.
I know you're not really a huge DC guy, but to me, I felt that would have been something that would have, expanded beyond, if you were this kind of fan or that kind of fan.
I mean, I was interested in the whole, Superman issue where he died or he did the fight and all that, but it just, to me, I didn't pick him up. It didn't strike me as something I needed to have. Although I was a different collector at that time. I was what, when did this happen? Like 1992, 93,
yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I'm fresh out of high school and I have no money, so it's not like I'm gonna be able to buy books. So that's really what it was.
Yeah,
that's funny that I mentioned that, because that was something that I told Chris, that's what made comic book collecting a little bit different for some of us, compared to what it is now. Now you can redirect and you have a little bit more freedom of maybe acquiring some of these books that might have been a little bit more tough. Not that we should be picking up on some of these things, because they're a lot more pricier than they were last, when all this stuff was happening.
$1.25 back in 1992. 75 cents in 1989, 88. And now what, $3.99?
Exactly, Chris was saying the exact same thing. He was echoing the same thing, how if you go out and you buy a comic book, you pick up one, you've already spent almost like $4 to $5 already on a book.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm very picky.
Did you get into, because you said you were getting in, you offhand you were DC Batman. Did you get any of the death in the family issues? That's when they killed Robin. They actually did that. It was a 4-part series of the Batman comics. Did you get any of those?
No.
Okay, that was another series that kind of started coming in. All of this was leading up to, of course, Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, that pretty much changed the way movies were presented as far as comic book movies. But you know what? It's funny that it brought interest, but it wasn't gangbusters like the way Iron Man and a lot of those Spider-Man movies leading up to Iron Man and the Marvel, all this Marvel stuff that happened in the last, 20 years. I mean, you would get these little one-shot movies, but everybody was still kind of standoffish. Like, it is a comic book movie, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think right around that time too, on the Marvel end, the biggest thing at that point to me that seemed like the most interesting storyline was definitely what was going on with the X-Men. That was where, and I guess and then that kind of led into the TV show, if I'm not mistaken, that popularity, and the video game. Am I not correct? It was around that time, wasn't it?
Yep. A lot of that started trickling in. My brother's over here mentioning Howard the Duck. That was another kind of thing. The problem is that you do that, and if it doesn't succeed, then it becomes another black eye for the movement to do the comic books to movies.
Especially a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think comparing what we do now in the movie business, or not that we do, but what they do in the movie business now and how they go about getting the movies out and promoting them and hooking people in, you can't compare that to the way things were then. So I think really we got to judge them within their own time frame. Just because we, the comic book lovers of the 90s and the 80s, have grown up and we've taught our kids about them. We showed our kids, they see it, and we're hooked on it. We teach our kids what we like, and they adopt what we like. Like I was telling my daughter this morning at breakfast, I said, what do you think the soap I used when I was growing up with Grandma and Grandpa, what kind of soap do you think it was I used? And she go, Dove Men. I go, no, yes, no, I didn't. There was no Dove Man. It was just Dove. And that's what I grew up on. So our kids are going to grow up with our belief system and our likes. And if you're a strong comic book lover from the 80s and 90s or wherever, you're going to teach your children. They're going to adopt the same love for comic books that you do. And that is why they go gangbusters now, because of social media, because of word of mouth from lovers like us to our children, and the fact that the ability to make movies was a lot different. The stylization, the graphics, the story writing are much better. That, you know, that and plus you have Kevin Feige and you have all them who are comic book lovers, and they finally said, you know what, we need to make a movie franchise like someone would walk into a comic book store, and they did, and they made everything hook together like Velcro. So to me, we're the 80s movie making versus 2010 and above is totally different.
But there you pinpoint right there on the head what the difference was. You had Kevin Feige in the mix. Back then you just had a producer that owned the property, the Spider-Man properties, and this is my property and I don't give a crap about everybody else. And, you know, they're not bringing the comic book guys per se into the writer room. And you know what I mean? They didn't have that much pull, you know?
Hey, Rob, did you ever see the Canon Films advertisements for Spider-Man, where I guess Toby Hooper was supposed to have done it during that era of Life Force and stuff like that?
No, I never.
Yeah, they were selling
a Toby Hooper version. Spider-Man. Wow, that would. You know what? I'm very curious of how that would have come out.
I was curious too. I mean, they spent what $30 million on Life Force. I wonder if they were going to go that direction, or because they ended up acquiring Superman from Warner Brothers at that point.
Is that when
properties?
Is that what was that before or after Quest for Peace?
That was they were the one after Superman 3. They sold it to the Canon Group.
Okay. Well, so then we could use that film right there as probably a little snapshot of.
I mean, they also acquired Masters of the Universe. They also acquired Spider-Man. They acquired so many properties, and it wasn't so much about them being comic book fans or interested in the whole thing. It was definitely using the property to sell another movie.
Right.
You know, as Will was saying, you know, the differences then was just we need a name. The differences now is, hey, the fans are running the show.
Yep.
Yeah, my brother says the last person who tried to get movies more like the comic was shot and killed on the set. So he's obviously referring to The Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brandon Lee was very adamant, and he was working so hard closely with Alex Proyas to try to make it look as close to the comic book. And if anybody's knows anything about the Crow comic book, it was a black and white a book made by Caliber Comics, and it was very independent, very, very independent, that you couldn't help but fall in love with James O'Barr's artwork. And their love for the artwork, they wanted to make the film as close to a black and white film as you can get. And they had all this, it's one of the darkest films, like literally dark film. The only other film that I would say that was that dark was The Matrix. And I loved The Matrix. I thought that when you're watching it, it's like you're seeing a comic book. You're like, and then you find out later that the Wachowskis dabbled in comics and the way they storyboarded the whole thing and proposed the whole Matrix movie itself. They drew out a comic book.
Dark City.
Yeah.
Right, Dark City shared a lot of that DNA with their look.
Yeah.
Within The Crow, it almost looked like the same kind of movie in a way.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because he made it.
And you know, the thing is that because of time, you know, like we're saying, we've got all these it's the early days, like what we were talking about, Will. You know, we're talking about the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, and these are still unproven. You know, they're like, are these flukes? Are these hits for real? Are they fluky? You know, is it going to work? And you know, they stuck with the Batman thing for a while there, and then obviously they would do really good at the opening, and then the longevity just kind of tapered completely off on a lot of these Batman movies, and then they just started getting sillier and sillier and campier, and they tried to make them more, I guess, age appropriate or friendly with the masses instead of being too dark and stuff like that. I don't know. To me, I find something I like about all of them, but at the same time, there's something I don't like about all of them as well.
I always find it interesting if we're going to use the comic book movies thread here. how in that time Canon Films got their hands on so many properties, and then the Punisher was acquired by New World Pictures, which was Roger Corman, along with Fantastic Four, and then Captain America was picked up by another company as well. And nowadays you can't even imagine that happening, but back then it was. I think Marvel was in some trouble, and they were selling off their assets to keep
they were
keep the line open. But back then it was just like, oh yeah, what else can we get a hold of? And then that whole situation with that Fantastic Four movie is just bizarre.
That was like when when Batman and all that, when we were doing the comic book circuit, me and my brothers would go to the I think it was the Holiday Inn at airport, and we'd go and visit all the things, and we started seeing those videotapes, those bootlegs of, hey, there's the Fantastic Four, Corman version, and actually that's where we saw the original Power Rangers, because Power Rangers got really hot there for a little bit, but then a lot of people didn't know that the source material,
the Japanese show,
yeah,
it switched over,
right, yeah. And so those episodes, the original episodes with those specific Zords or whatever it was and those costumes, those came out, and then people were like, wait a minute, the other character is a girl character. They were kind of like, because the way they present it, it was like there were two female characters or whatever, but then the way that they show no, I think in America they made one of the characters another female character, but in Japan there was only one female character, I guess, in that original run of Power Rangers and stuff like that. So I don't know, little things. But I remember a show that was on Night Flight called Dino Man. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
And that was an early precursor of those type of, crazy characters as well.
There was that one, and it was like late 70s, early 80s, right? Somewhere in there.
Spectre Man.
Spectre Man was another one, yeah.
Yeah, Spectre Man.
Love those shows.
Yeah, Dino Man and Spectre Man, and Night Flight was very cool for bringing us very glimpses of around the world, various shows. Commander Cody, I believe that was the other guy. It was like early Rocketeer kind of guy, and they were doing all that kind of stuff. So, and they would change the voices to, I guess they would make them like Mystery Science or whatever, and that'd have fun. And
there's actually a YouTube channel that has all the original Spectre Man.
Oh wow!
Yeah, cool. They're all there. Every episode, I started going through them.
As I was like, wow. in your comic taste changed as you grew, and as your love for horror films and effects and stuff like that. In specifically in the comic book world, you started getting more into the horror comics, EC comics, and then also, I guess, shortly around that same time, the Image comics kind of come into play as well. Could you talk a little bit about the horror comics? How did you first stumble across that? That those comics were around, because they've been around for a whole bunch of times, and some of them are reprints of old past issues. But how did you personally come across those?
I had mentioned this on your last podcast in the comments, because my sister used to be very sick. She would be in the hospital at Driscoll for like months. So I'd spent a lot of my summers. And I was asking you guys if you remember, there at Six Points, because right down the street, there was a newsstand that my grandfather used to like to go to all the time. And that's where I'd pick up all the G.I. Joe comics, the Robotech comics, the Transformer comics and stuff. And then I'd take those with me to read them while I'm waiting, or I'm just visiting and stuff like that. And I thought it was it was kind of cool. And then there was always this one, I remember this place very well, and there was always this one corner that was a little darker, a little seedier, and that's where the more quote unquote heavier comics were, the EC comics, the scary comics. And at the time I was still kind of young, and they kind of scared me. I remember towards the end of that time, when I was going into junior high, I started collecting the EC comics and stuff like that, some of the Weird Tales, and got really into those. And they also sold, that's where I also started, I think, finding Fangoria, and started getting into that. And that was usually right around the time I started going to Tom Brown. So that's where my love for horror comics came in. And I think there was also Tomb of Dracula. There was some of the Marvel lines too. I remember seeing Blade in there a couple of times. It was, but when I started getting into Fangoria, they would highlight independent horror comics and do like actual stories on them. And there was one called Spring Hill Jack that was kind of hard to find, but I found it, and a few others from, I think it was Vertigo Comics.
Yeah, Vertigo was an offshoot of DC. It was for more of their, like, Neil Gaiman, Shadow, Sandman. Yeah, most of that's what it's always been known for, Sandman. But that's where they would put more of that even edgier type of material, more mature audience type stuff. People that wanted to, they wanted to keep that crowd that was growing, and they didn't want to lose people like you. You were searching for something different than the normal superhero fare. You started discovering some of that stuff.
That was also around the time the Dark Horse started coming out. That was when the Aliens comic, Predator comics. Yeah, and I got into those for the RoboCop versus Terminator comics. There was a whole bunch of those what ifs that were kind of very intriguing at the time.
That's about the same time I got into martial law. I don't know if you remember that comic, but that's when I first saw the more mature level reading. When I saw martial law, I just read 1 or 2 issues of it, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Was that awful? Was that like an offshoot of Judge Dredd?
It's kind of like that, yeah.
See, and that was the thing. That's the thing. I don't know that much about British comics or anything like that, but they were always pushing the alternative.
Was it Epic? Were they the publishers?
That was AD.
Which one?
AD.
It was? Okay.
Yeah. And so
those were hard to find too.
Yeah, see, and that was the thing. You had sometimes those had a little premium because you were paying for an import book. Occasionally, you would find those at the bookstore, like a B. Dalton or Walden, but it was like an offshoot. And I don't know.
It was always kind of that one and heavy metal, because I had a few heavy metals.
Heavy metal,
too.
yeah.
Yep. And see, and that was the thing. Those are kind of imprints that that would end up happening like that. So we see the movement, and then you mentioned Dark Horse. Dark Horse to me was they acquired properties really fast that Predator, Alien,
Star Wars. Didn't they pull out Star Wars?
Yeah. They were Well, Marvel,
the non-canon Star Wars. That
eventually happened a little bit later. But yeah, you're right, because Marvel had a grip on Star Wars, and then I guess Lucasfilms found a way to offshoot some of that.
Material.
Yeah, and so they were able to license some of the off-canon.
Star Wars comics.
That was around 91, 92, 88, somewhere.
Dark Empire,
Yeah.
I believe.
Dark Empire.
Stuff.
I just sold the whole set.
Dude, and that ushered in the whole, universe there of Dark Horse comics there for a lot of us. Dark Horse did this. I don't want to say gimmick, but it kind of was a gimmick, and it was like they were going to issue like 4 comics a month for one. Was it 1 penny? Roland, if he's still online, he would know. It was either for $1 or 1 penny, and you would get a book. Like it was Barbed Wire, and then it was X, and it was like they were issuing out like for several 4 months, and you had like all these issues that would come out, and there were introduction. You were going to get a number 1. That was the whole thing. You were going to get a number 1 for the next 2-3 months, like for the summer. And it was like all these issues that would come out.
They're smart. They're trying to be your supplier. Is what they're doing. Trying to make you a junkie.
They were trying to open up their audience, because for Chris, he was getting into it for more, maybe some of the horror related issues and stuff.
Those characters,
yeah, and they were becoming that entity. But in this promotion, they were injecting like, well, here's a superhero, and then here's this. It's not your regular superhero, but they wanted to make sure that superheroes were being introduced, that it wasn't going to be a one-note
They
entity.
started me in with Batman versus Predator. That whole series was incredible.
See, that's right. They opened up crossover, because they did it with Valiant. They did it with, like what you're saying, DC, and you had various ones, because they did Magnus versus Predator.
Robot Fighter.
Magnus Robot Fighter from Valiant against the Predator. So Predator was like up against everybody. Have we seen Predator versus Venom?
We've seen Predator versus Archie now.
Yeah, that's right. Archie has had his fair share. Hey, well, coming soon. I don't know if you've seen this, Chris. I know Will has. It's Transformers crossing over with Back to the Future.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be coming down the line. I think it's in October.
And I got one for you, Rob. My Little Ponies and Transformers coming out this year. It should have been out earlier, but the issue comes out. When does it come out?
It got resolicited. I think it might be coming out next month.
I hope so, because I have mine on pre-order.
So funny you bring that up, Will. Have you seen Pinkie Pie versus Starscream?
No, I have not.
On YouTube?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it is hilarious.
I look forward to that, actually.
Check it out. It's hilarious.
You see, we put that on pre-order because, I mean, my kids are, I have the young one. It was My Little Pony. Well, it was a fanatic. And I kind of got hooked onto it, too, because I was buying the toys for her. So as soon as I saw Transformer, I was like, whoa, these are like 2 toys that I pick out, you know? So very cool, yeah.
I heard that Ecto Transformer, like, sold out right away. I didn't even get a chance. I'm being
summoned at the moment. Yes. By the higher one.
Yes. My brother mentions the Valiant. Then Valiant was the intellectual choice over Image. You know what it was? I think it was the writing, because even though Image had all the great artists they left Marvel and they went to form Image. A few had writing chops, and I just think that some of them were not great writers. And they were really relying a lot on their artwork. I
think was what I saw. Image started to get repetitive. I think they were starting to fall into the tropes. That's what got me out of it. Cyberforce, Wildcats, Spawn. I started to see a pattern in the storylines, and it just got a little old for me. And then I was already getting out of it at that point. So.
Yeah, you had the don't get me wrong, a lot of those books are just amazing to look at, but when you started to look for the substance, it definitely lacked. I'm trying to think of something that had lots of substance. I know my brother was reading Gen 13, but that was a little bit later on. That stuff came a tad bit later on.
I think too, as I got older, maybe like 10 years now, maybe like 2005 or 6, there was that. I was telling you about that Evil Dead adaptation. That's when the adaptation started to get popular. But also the graphic novel started to become a thing. A buddy of mine loaned me Why the Last Man graphic novel, and I was totally blown away by it, because you could tell that the stories were stronger, the writing was, the actual dialogue and the stories was better, and the art's incredible. It's incredible stuff.
I never went into a comic shop as a youngster growing up. My dad never took us to a comic shop. I didn't know they existed until after 1989, I guess, that because we got into the whole Batman craze, and we went to a convention and we said, hey, what the heck, let's just go to this thing. And I was like, Death in the Family graphic novel or whatever, and all these books, and our minds were blown. And then they go, yeah, come on in, and here's a card, come to our comic shop, and if you like cards, and that's when
where the culture started to change a bit too, because for me it was always newsstands that my grandpa went to. He was looking at magazines and the newspapers. I was looking at the comic books.
My brother actually mentioned in the side thing, and I don't know if you guys ever faced it, but I know that we did. They actually kind of what's the word that you use without me going up there? I think he said bullied or kind of heckled us at the fact that we were still actively buying off the newsstand. And they were like, no, you don't want those UPC coded comic books. You want Funny that they say that now, because those are the ones that are actually worth more.
And those will never come back again. I can't say that, but
I'm looking at Will's picture right now. I miss that rack. I miss going through and looking
seeing a rack like that.
Yeah, and taking a chance on something that I might not have looked at beforehand, because I get too into what I'm into, and that rack kind of forces. The same thing with video stores. You're bombarded with imagery, and you're like, what's this? Let me look at this real quick. And you read the back, and you look at the pictures, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm down with this.
It's the way record albums used to be. I used to go through all the records literally, and then, ooh, what is this? And then the artwork jumps at you.
Iron Maiden.
Oh, all the time. It was the big artwork. I mean,
we're talking something about it being tactile too, something about getting your hands on it physically, and checking it out, and more I think that's why we were so attached to our things that we had, that we were holding and reading, all that kind of stuff. I think that helps a lot of the process of absorbing the material.
Yeah, most definitely. So you mentioned, going back to your journey, you get into Fangoria magazine and you become the guy with the Fangoria magazines you become but you go one step
crazy covers, you know, and I'd bring them to class and everybody would freak out on I remember I had Total Recall with Ronnie Cox's eyes bulging out and his tongue all from Total Recall. And that was like issue 90, I think. And it was just like, and I brought it to school and everybody's like, oh, let me see that. And taking it out of my hands and stuff like that. So
did you ever buy Spider-Man comics or not really? Because I remember we talked we talked about that you got
especially
into X-Men.
McFarlane era.
Okay, the McFarlane comics. Please tell me you still have some of those.
I do not.
Yeah. See,
I don't have much left actually.
Yeah.
I still have all my Spawn, Cyberforce, Wildcats, some of the Evil Dead stuff, some of my horror stuff. I don't have a lot though. I used to have boxes of this stuff because I went to the store quite often when HEB used to sell them.
Oh,
remember when you walked in, they had that big full. I would always pick up one or two, and they're only like 75 cents a buck. I mean, come on, that's nothing.
Yep.
You can easily invest into that.
My brother,
that investment turned into clutter.
my brother wants to make sure to mention this, and I actually would probably want to have a show about this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. My brother, you know, he was my little brother. He was born in 79. I'm 1971. So that's a long, you know, we're supposed to know more than him and this, that, and the other. Well, he latches on to Spider-Man with this crazy red figure holding Spider-Man up, wrapping a thing around, and Spider-Man's all, you know, back and all that. And this becomes his all-time favorite book. He is reading the shit out of this book. He's curling up the book. It's wrinkled and reading. And Chris told me that he would have Fangoria books like that and comic books like that, well loved and read. These are books that you love, you read over and over and over again. Well, this was the first appearance of Carnage. And we used to give him shit about it because we were like, that's not a real character. That's some kind of stupid whatever. And we gave him the business. We said he was stupid for liking that thing and that it wasn't going to be worth anything. And especially because it was from a newsstand. But that's the thing. It's from a newsstand. It was the first appearance of Carnage. The book goes for like easily, what, 150, 200 bucks right now? It's like one of the hottest books. Plus the movie's going to come out that features Woody Harrelson as the Carnage.
Venom and Carnage, yeah.
So, yeah, that book is even going to be more. Hey, we got Lucas.
That's how you know you're into if you had a beat-up comic.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
well-loved comics.
With a Metal Gear NES advertisement on the back showing all the little things that you picked up in the video game.
I see Lucas joined us. I was in love with that issue, Amazing Spider-Man 136 up on his wall. It was tattered. It was rough, but you know what? That is a badass issue. That is an awesome, iconic issue up on his wall. And I asked him and his son, you know, about that book, and because I just love it. Anything with Green Goblin and Spider-Man and stuff like that, very, very iconic cover. 136. Anybody has a chance to take a look at that one? It's you got basically a showdown happening, and you got on a glider, the classic glider. You got the Green Goblin, and you got Spider-Man, and it's, you know, it's ready to go down, and it's an awesome cover. Spider-Man had some amazing covers in the past, but that one by far is one of the most iconic covers that I love. The coloring is it's you can definitely tell the era of that book.
Yeah, there's a definite shift. We were talking about this too. I think there was a shift between the 80s where, you know, you can tell the art had a certain look that was still kind of reminiscent of where it came from, and then I don't know, mid 80s to late 80s into the 90s, that shift changed. Everything got more heightened, I guess. Or
yeah, it you know what? this is gonna sound weird. You know what I compare it to? Do you remember seeing classic Tom and Jerry, and then they
Yes.
become the Chuck Dixon Tom and Jerry, where it has a very different, distinct
Softer
look,
line.
and you're like, why does it look this way? The other one just had something of a, I don't know, the cinematic look to it or whatever,
Right.
you know, stuff like that. Lucas says, "What's up, guys?"
Was
What's up?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to break away from the show. I apologize, Rob. I have a room that calling my attention. I have to put my cargo pants on.
Well, let's zoom ahead real quick. You gave us some pics of what you thought for this coming up week that you liked, and let me see if I could find them real quick. What were they?
I don't think I gave you that pick.
No, you
I don't-
did. You did.
I did?
Let me see if I could find it real quick. Oh, you didn't give me them for the week. You gave me for
I thought I did.
the future.
Yeah, because I didn't see anything that really struck my fancy.
Right. Well, okay. Well, then let me show some books real quick let me pick something that I thought that's coming out this week. We're gonna sneak preview something real quick, and bear with us, Chris, because we're gonna, even if you want to chime in on this. This is one that I think it looks pretty cool. I think this is going to be something to pick up. If you're collecting, you want to describe what we're showing here, Will?
What it is we're showing Hulk and the new storyline of Maestro, and Maestro is not the Hulk, if I remember correctly. It is someone else who is, I guess, kind of like destroyed the universe that they're currently in, and now it's up to the Hulk. That's what I gathered thus far from the synopsis. Now
that's one of the covers, and there is another cover, I believe. There's a variant cover, but that's the main cover. That was the main cover. It's basically, it looks like him.
do you see the armbands he's wearing?
Yeah, man.
Aren't those like take the picture back?
All right. Let's put that back. Describe the
character.
describe that real quick. Yeah.
And who is this artist? Is it Hook, or how do you say his name? Lee?
Yeah, Lee Hook.
Yeah.
Inuk.
Inuk.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say his name. Hey, when I first saw this character, I'm like, what's he wearing? He has the
like Dr.
He looks like he's wearing, it's kind of Thorish, and then
Right.
he's wearing this this sash that looks like, what'd you say, Master? And then he has these armbands that remind me of Colossus. It's like a mashed up. Like we have those round circular necklace pendants, kind of give me that Thorish look with the vest.
You saw one of his hands, right? One of his hands has two fingers
yes,
in the thumb.
like
and then
Nightcrawler, kind of like a Nightcrawler thing going on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you see, okay, when I read the synopsis of this was last week, so I might be imperfect, past imperfect, is that Maestro is this guy, and they're now in a different dimension or universe or future, and all the heroes that were, even the bad guys, are all gone, and it looks like he has collections of like helmets and different things, and so I'm looking at Hulk right now, and I'm thinking, oh, so looks like Hulk has some of these items he picked up at Kohl's or somewhere in the future. So I'm wondering if that's what this is. I mean, what's your opinion? Do you know more than I do? Because
I don't know. I just know that it is the artwork is very captivating, and I think it's something that's going to pull. If you're a Hulk fan, and there's been a big with Immortal Hulk and all this kind of stuff, a lot of people have been collecting that. I just think that it's perfect for everybody right there. I think that's going to be like I said, I picked this as one of the ones that people are probably going to want to pick up this coming up week. Another one that I thought, because of our special guest, let me bring this up. It's actually this series just started. This is actually number 2, I believe.
Oh yeah, that is
number
the
two.
screenplay.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
based off the
The one
original
that-
screenplay. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about this because
Yes.
then Walter Hill and the other guy go in there and rewrite his script. They added some elements to it.
So
Pick
so it's
that one
kind
up
of
for sure.
yeah. So it's kind of interesting. It says here 20th Century Fox uncovered Alien, the original screenplay. So
Pick
you
it
know,
up.
it to me, it's like one of those kind of things. They did this with Star Wars. They did this with Star Wars. Remember, it was the Star Killer. That's what it was. It was all based on that the Star Wars, and it was based on Star Killer and all this. It's a thing that Dark Horse has been doing. They've been getting original screenplays and then interpreting them and presenting them. And it's just a different way, to present the material in a different way without having to retell the same story and over and over and over again.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I love it.
No, I think it's great.
Especially for a new generation of people who have not seen Alien at all. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, I think this is great. Those are the two. Those are the two that I think. I mean, other than there's a shitload of omnibus books that are going to be hitting the stores, I guess, next week. Oh, we got. Oh, I didn't see that. Actually, Lucas gave us some info here. It's a Future Hulk. He came out in '93. The first story was Future Imperfect. When you get a chance, read it. It's a very good storyline. There you go. You have a little lowdown there from 90.
Lucas.
I guess from '93. Lucas has been.
Can I say something about Lucas? Lucas
Sure.
is a comic book store owner. He's a lover, and I've talked to Lucas before, and he's not like some of. I'm not saying, okay. You could talk to people and they know about comic books and everything, but this guy reads them and he knows the chronological history and all that. He knows everything about the book. So when I would walk into a store and asked about a certain issue, like I think it was Spider Girl, issue 0 and issue 1, I think it was 151 or 115, something like that. He knew all about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it surprised me. So thank you, Lucas, for the information. He knows his stuff. So
he's been on top of comics. Talking with him, he's been involved in comics forever.
Yeah.
He it's one thing to own a store, but to know your storylines and know your stuff and know where certain characters popped up and stuff like that. You always want to have somebody knowledgeable like that because they can help you on your journey when you're trying to locate books or more stories related to something like that. It's always
I'm always looking for a recommendation myself. I'm always like, hey, you should check this out, or this is something that you would enjoy. Because I sometimes I blindly go in there and not really give anything a second look.
It's too hard. It's if you don't know anything, you go in there and you see all these different titles. You're like, what? You don't know what to get. It's confusing.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that there's some places that you go in, and if you're not prepared, it's almost like walking into the sideshow at a carnival, and it's like, sucker born every minute, here we go, and they're going to start cramming all kinds of weird shit we've all ran across some people like that. Hey, you know what? You want to get this issue here? You want to get this? You know what? I'm going to start you with a box, and we're going to chunk all this shit in your box that before you know it, you're like, why the hell am I collecting this particular run of books?
Have you ever seen it's Free Enterprise, that one movie that came out in the 90s?
Which one was that one? I think I know what you're talking about.
The guy from Will and Grace is in it. And they have this whole bit about he goes to a comic book store and there's a certain X-Men comic that he wants, and this girl snags it from him and takes it, and she's like, well, what do you want that comic? I know it's probably for your boyfriend and stuff, but I really need that comic. It's my comic. And she's like, she lays it out to him. She's like, I read Sandman, Grendel, Spawn. It's like she doesn't look like your average comic book person. Yeah. And that scene always, struck me as being kind of funny, but, somewhat kind of accurate too. It's a really great movie. You ever get a chance to check it out?
It was Big Bang Theory before Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah, it was more like, it was right after Swingers, so it was like the Swingers of comic books. Or comic book nerds. Guys go to Toys R Us looking for Kiss action figures and collect laser discs and you know, it's all about the geek culture in the
we
90s.
we need to do that. We need to have a future episode where we everybody go look for a comic book movie or a movie that has comic book life in it, not comic book movies turned into movies, but actual movies that relate. You know, like what's it, Chasing Amy,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like
Yeah, around
that.
that time too, yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
Culture was coming in the stove.
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
the
I didn't see
heartbeat of
that
it?
movie until way after it came out because apparently it just died at the box office. And then I found it at Hollywood Video just on a kind of, and well, really the movie's about these guys meeting William Shatner and idolizing them because they're also Star Trek fans. And Shatner's just not the captain. And, you know, he's a very flawed man in the movie. And that it kind of shatters their illusion, but also forces them to grow up a little bit too.
Oh, which was that one?
It's called Free Enterprise. It came out in 1998.
All right.
Yeah,
And
Check that out.
it's a real fun movie. It's got a lot. I mean, this is, like I said, this is our culture, not the new culture, but the old culture. I mean, they're all about collecting Laserdiscs, going to Toys R Us, and remember because Toys R Us was the place to find all the collector stuff back in the day.
yeah, that
Before-
was it. That was yeah. We didn't have a lot of what we have now.
Online.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, none of
just
that. even
anything.
factored into it.
You know, much less. Stores would have to, like comic book stores or collector stores, before we had Image like Direct, Diamond Direct, and all that kind of stuff. You would have to go stand in line at Toys R Us early in the morning and get figures
Oh,
and
yeah.
and then put them in your store just
Oh,
so
yeah.
that you can get that. Or if you bought them, like, you know, occasionally you'll see like, you know, boxes of figures, but it's I don't know. It's a little bit. It's definitely a lot different now. Definitely for sure. We didn't have too many hot topics and all this kind
Yeah,
of.
it was. I remember picking up those McFarlane, Frankenstein, Dracula. They were like little play sets with the actual characters based around the Universal horror characters, but kind of updated McFarlane style.
Right.
And I collected those too. They were awesome.
Yeah,
And there's the detail in the sets.
He did a couple of those. I remember he did the Wizard of Oz, Twisted Wizard of Oz tales, and then he did some of that. So McFarlane's always had, you know, a little hand in presenting different properties and stuff. Now he's doing DC, which those features, those comics. Or the way he's interpreting
You got
those
all these
characters.
different like NECA, and you have all these other brands now that are doing the same kind of work that was kind of niche back in the 90s.
Oh yeah. Will, we did our must get issues for this upcoming week. Is there anything that you could think of? What we need to do is next couple of shows we will focus on other things in previews. That's what we'll do.
Right.
We'll focus on some other things on previews.
I challenge everyone to get out of their safety zone and their safety net or their castle and moat and walk around and go look for other things besides Marvel and DC this time.
Oh yeah.
Go look and go find something different and report back and let us know what you think. Because there are a lot of artists out there who are not getting the looks, and we might not, because we're not looking at them, maybe they're not going to bubble to the top and we're missing out on something big. So go out there, look for Bliss, go look at your preview guide, go look for those obscure titles, see the plots, pick up a first issue or two, read them, and report back. Let us know what you think and get us hooked, because that's what I recommend to do.
Anything that you want to add? That I know that you haven't really dabbled too much in comics and stuff in recent, but was there something that stuck in your mind quickly about comics, like one comic that just really stuck with you through this, you know, whole time when you had been collecting or just running across, that it had a special meaning for you for any particular reason? Chris?
One that really God, I still wish I had it too. Was the We were talking about this earlier too, is the adaptations of movies.
Mhm.
I had the adaptation of the original Batman movie, and it came with a credit card that was supposed to be like a pass to like Batcave.
Oh wow.
And it said all these rules on the back of that card, what this card, you know, what you're supposed to do with it. And I had the card. It was a really cool card, like a credit card, and it was a. It kind of reminded me of one of those notebooks with the glued spine.
Yeah.
So it was real durable. Love that comic book.
And that was 89, Batman 89?
Yeah, it was right before the movie came out.
Huh. What was on the cover?
Characters.
What was it?
What was on the cover?
Oh, the cover was, I think it was Batman, but it was a renditioning of Batman. Like I said, it was pretty much the adaptation of the movie into a comic book, and it wasn't hardbound, but it wasn't a comic book either. It was kind of like a notebook.
Right. What it was is probably that cardboard cover.
Yes.
But it was but it had the glued spine where everything was kind of like the reason I'm trying to, did it have the Joker laughing and one thing and then Batman kind of like standing in an artist rendition of that, or do you not familiar? You can't remember.
I can't remember. No, it said Batman. It was just his figure in the center. It said Batman on top. And that was really it. And then inside it was a panel by panel reproduction of the movie.
So yeah, it was a comic adaptation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious because I was collecting tons of Batman.
It wasn't commonly found. I never really saw them. It was actually a gift from a buddy of mine from Austin that sent it to me, that he got it at some shop over there.
Very
and
interesting.
I took it to school, unfortunately, and never got it back.
Oh man!
I still have the card. I'll take a picture of it.
Okay. Yeah, no. Upload it to the Rip Comics, post it up.
Yeah.
And that way, based on that, I bet you me and Will could probably find something online about whatever that was.
And then probably the first 8 or 9 issues of the G.I. Joe series, the Larry Hama series. I was so into that storyline. So
you actually had the wasn't Snake Eyes or something? No.
It was Storm Shadow. He had an apprentice behind him, who's showing them the ways, and then they were trying to get to some base on an island. And
it was the first run of those. Is that what that was?
Every week or every so often, I go down there and check to see if they had it. Pick them up, and I'd read them at the hospital. So yeah, that was stuck in my head. The Robotech ones too. Those were actually really well done too. Came around the time of the movie or the show.
Very cool. We will see if we can spot that book. I'm very curious about it because I actually still have a couple of adaptations from Batman, but now I'm even more curious of the version that you had.
That one it wasn't that one, right?
It wasn't that one?
No.
Okay.
See, that's the one more commonly. See, there was one that was
there was more blue. It was just Batman himself. It was blue, and it had kind of like the movie title over it, but the art was in the background.
Check the newsstand version of that one, Will, because that was the graphic novel prestige version or whatever they called that.
It came with a Batman card.
That's what I'm curious about. Lucas said Image has several monster vampire storylines. That Texas Blood, so far it's good, sold out, going into second printing. Will would probably be looking for that first print of the first issue, second printing. He actually showed us a number 2, but he does not have a number 1. So if anybody is wanting to get into that Texas Blood, they are going into the second printing. Look for Lucas online. You can find he's in your group too, right? Will, Texas?
Lucas
comic,
or you can also, he's on Toy Comic Junkie. Go to the group page there.
There it is.
What's the bottom say? Oh, that's the card number. What's the back look like?
It's the rules.
Okay. Can I have $5? $5? Anybody want $5? Start off with $5.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
$5.50.
Yeah.
Well, let's have 6. Oh, we have 8.
Yeah, expose Batman's true identity.
Batman,
It says
DC
copyright. Where your
Comics.
finger is there. Yeah, you have a.
Okay.
What's the copyright date on 1980? What?
Look, it's got an
86?
ISBN number on there. Will.
Isbin,
Yeah,
1989.
you can find that. There it is. It's 068-155-11. Slide it a little bit more. I can't get 186 or no 86. That's that. You look that number up, and then you got yourself a. You can find a book by the.
Unfortunately, this already started to crack at the edge right here.
Yeah, so
But
that's.
I've had this since 89, 88.
Will's been cracking since his episode started.
Yeah, I love this thing so much. I kept that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I shouldn't have taken that to school.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things that I should have never taken to school because I never.
I had this one of Bride of Reanimator, 1990, and it's the bride on the cover, and it's all the prosthetics of her exposed neck, and she's like this, like holding herself like that, and that was one of my favorite Fangos, and everybody wanted to look at that one. Tattered that one up really fast too. I wish I'd never taken it to school now.
I think we all have horror stories of something we probably shouldn't. From comic books, I end up trading a comic book I never wanted to get rid of. I end up trading a Hot Wheel that I never really wanted to trade. I think we all end up with various regrets from time to time by taking things to school, which we shouldn't probably have been taking things to school anyway, and we learn the hard way, or we don't learn the hard way and we keep doing it and testing the fates that we can still show everybody our.
I still have a Fangoria Crow City of Angels in perfect condition.
I think you probably.
Rob.
I don't know. That one wasn't really my favorite.
Oh yeah, no.
I think you could put that one out. And I don't think anybody pick it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm pretty sure there's other things in that book.
I have the original Crow too, but you see, that's the funny thing about Fangoria too, because the original Crow was just a little window picture in a Fangoria with an article, and then Crow City of Angels come out as a freaking cover of it in '96, and I was like, "What is this?" You know?
It was so weird because when that happened, the only people that were actually putting Brandon Lee or the Crow on those covers is the people that were trying to profit off the circumstances and all that kind of stuff, and the tons of kung fu magazines all of a sudden came out with the curse, and then here's Bruce and his dad on the cover, and it's like, what's going on here?
The co-writer of the movie, David Shaw, he was one of the contributing writers.
That's correct. That's correct.
I have one of the issues where he talks about the Crow and when Brandon died and all that kind of stuff and how it affected him. It's a really good. It was a good piece. You know, I remember reading that.
It's unfortunate that happened the way it did.
The anecdotes that he had, that was heartbreaking from his perspective alone.
Yeah.
Seems like they were really close to being done.
I can't find it.
Really?
I will find it though. I'll find that card.
Yeah. That was glued in a special spot on that card on that cover, and you removed it. And it had that little silicone glue that held it in place.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it says put in your wallet.
And it was an adaptation. You said it was like panel by panel, the comics.
Yep. And it was done so well. It was amazing.
Wow. Interesting. And that was 89 Batman.
Yes.
89
the first Batman film.
Wow. All right. There's our homework, folks. We are on the quest to find this adaptation of Batman with what seems to look like almost like a credit card, a Batman card that was on the cover with a set of rules of what you're to do because you're now part of the Batman Club. We will now search for this book, and with any luck, we will be able to report back next week that we found it. I'm still on the quest looking for this Spider-Man book that I have not been able to find when I was a kid, where, mind you, in the caption, the book, he's in a grocery store or some kind of store, and the Goblin's glider is over the shelves because you can look down, and Spider-Man is down there, and as the glider is coming across the top. That's what I do remember out of one of the panels, and that is ongoing. We're gonna, I don't know. We will try to find
You know, it's funny because we were talking about the Fangos and that one. I really wish I bought two of them. The '86 Transformers the movie adaptation book. Man, I wish I'd taken better care of that as well. Both of them, because I bought it twice and lost one and destroyed the other. On the Fangos side, there was, I don't know if you remember this or not. I don't know if you guys were really big into them or not. Fangoria released a kind of like a compilation of all their reviews of all the movies they had reviewed from the beginning of the magazine all the way to about, I think, 88 or 89.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there, and they released it in a volume. And that was my video guide for looking for, and I would religiously look for all these titles and try to watch them all.
You know what we're going to do? We will do in a future episode. It's like I have so many future episodes that we're going to do, but one should be Lost and Found. We're going to talk about these long lost things that we kind of wish that we had. We will try to find maybe some pictures of some of these things, and maybe that we'll present them, and then maybe people will help us locate what some of these lost things are, or things we're on a quest for.
And speaking of which, a lot of the things I learned in special effects makeup was this.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
And inside of this, and look at these masks that they used to sell back in the day.
Wow. Classics.
But this was instructionals on, and with the effects guys that did it.
Oh,
and I had totally messed this magazine up, and a friend of mine found it on eBay.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so you've been able to recover.
This is like holy grail. This has got formulas and recipes and advice from the masters. Yeah,
I know that there's comics that Will has on his grail list that he wants to have in his personal collection that he hopes to reunite with one day. 252. Anyway, but we will save that for another show for sure. Will is still contemplating a trade in offer, but it's like, yeah, I could tell by his look. It's like, not happening, Rob. But anyway, we will see.
Inside of magazines and comics.
Very cool. It'd be interesting to look up some of those and find out how much they're worth.
Call the phone number.
Call the number. There's somebody's there.
I wonder if they're still in business.
Somebody, hey, can I help you?
I miss those.
It's the Green Ranger. How can I help you? I'm here to drop down all the enemies of the Power Rangers. Buy my foil cover, please.
Yep, special magic foil cover.
Yeah, I miss those ads. I miss stuff like that.
It's definitely has changed so much. Even though everything seems to be coming accessible, it's actually harder to sometimes get some of those things because they're
Sorry, to break in. Will, do you watch what's his name? Retro Blaster, the guy that fixes toys on YouTube?
No, I haven't. But I probably run across that show, but I can't say I have.
He got a hold. There's some guy that's out here. He's reproducing the Battlestar Galactica toys, but he's making them for the 3/4 inch action figures, so they're bigger.
Wow, you got to send me that link. I got to check it out.
It is amazing. The Cylon Raider at 3/4 inch, the Viper at 3/4 inch, instead of the way Mattel made them really tiny.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Send us a link on that.
I'll send that because I want to get some. Because the Starfighter, Buck Rogers Starfighter, the Viper, and the X-Wing all sit next the same size.
Wow.
I'll put those on the USS Flag.
Yes, you can do that.
We'll do a new mashup.
Yeah, new mashup. But that's what I'm saying. There's so many different ideas that we have for future shows, and definitely we need to find out what you did to fix your audio, because your audio is coming in super clear now. There you go. That's
a handgun.
Hey, microphone.
A handgun.
Yeah, it's a microphone.
I got the video camera here, the microphone for it over there.
Awesome.
I separated them.
Cool. Well,
I got a paintbrush. I got to go visit.
Yeah, he's got a paintbrush. I got to go to Portland, but
that's a long ways away, Rob. That's in Oregon.
Yeah,
Oregon.
But no, I want to thank Chris for coming on and sharing his love of comics and his journey, and where it's taken him, because a lot of us have that foundation, and it does stress the importance of reading. Will has said this numerous of times, that it truly is about the books and reading the books, because that's how we could put our thoughts together. Like Chris is a screenwriter, director, and all this kind of stuff. If it wasn't for love of books, like comic books and stuff, he wouldn't have come across the evolution that he went into, and the horror books, and like the one in particular that he has, that is like his grail, that has the recipes and stuff like that eventually he incorporated into his arsenal to do the special effects that he does. If anybody's interested in any of Chris's work, where can we find that, Chris?
Well, the latest film, Muerte, back over here, that's available on Tubi TV. You can watch it there for free. I also have a YouTube channel. Just look up Night Creature Productions, and we'll pop up there. And all of our stuff, all the horror challenges, music video challenges, all the challenges we've done, they're all there that we've worked with you on in the past, and other short films that we've done over the years. They're all there.
Awesome. And if people want to get active into the comic scene, buying, trading, meeting comic book dealers, and if you're looking for comics in general, where's a good place to meet up on Facebook?
Well, all the comic book, Toy and Comic Book Junkies, they go to Toy and Comic Book Junkie on Facebook. And within the next month, we'll be having, I'll be putting a small website together, toyandcomicjunkie.com, and the evolution will continue. But join the Facebook group, Toy and Comic Junkie, and share whatever it is that's toy and comic related. It doesn't have to be comic books. It can be vintage toys, it can be modern toys, it can be your thoughts, it can be your opinions. It's whatever, it's about your toys and your love for books and anything toy related. And we're also on Instagram, same thing, Toy and Comic Junkie, Toy and Comic Junkie, and Twitter. Find us there. I don't tweet, I just read, but we're there. And we're on some other social media platforms, but primarily Facebook and Instagram. So
very cool.
Join us.
Yeah, join Will. Look for Chris's movie. I want to thank them both for joining me this afternoon on another episode of Rip Comics Podcast. You can please like our page on Rip Comic Podcasts, or Rip Comic Books on Facebook. Like us, and that's where you'll get the latest updates. We're working on a YouTube page and a podcast page and all that kind of good stuff. You'll be able to see this episode in probably an audio form somewhere down the line. If you want to watch this episode again, watch it here on the page. On here, and make friends with your comic book, your local comic shops, online and on going into their shops, and buy something. Talk to them, and because we got to keep them alive, because it's been real tough this past time around. But we want to keep them in our hearts and let them know that they mean a lot to us, because we definitely don't want to see them leave. So try to support as many local comic vendors as you can, and if you can't find them, join your groups and reach out for them. Like Lucas, he's online. Go to the Toy and Comic Junkie page. He's there, and you can find him there, and he'll set you. A lot of vendors.
There's a lot of retailers there, a lot of vendors. And next week on our next show, Rob will be ripping up some of his comics live on the streaming show. So just tell him which ones you want ripped, and he will rip them, because he wants to rip the comics.
We're gonna do it like Gallagher style. We're just gonna rip them, and the more the better. Or you know what? Send in your comics that you want us to rip, and we will rip your comics
to Toy and Comic Junkie, and I'll take care of them.
All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.